Hello fans, welcome to StudioJake. We've got an audio interview today with the Bloody Red Baron himself, Mike Baron. He's the creator of The Badger, which is now you can get through Devil's Due and First Comics, and he's also the co-creator of Nexus and the writer of numerous horror novels. So welcome to StudioJake, Mr. Baron.
Thank you.
So I've got I wanted to show off a little bit of my collection to you. I'm a huge Batman fan, and you actually wrote one of my favorite Batman storylines, Colossus Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's one. I wish we were doing this interview in person because I would definitely get you to sign them for me. But one thing I wanted to, I know you and Steve Rude, you both came up with Nexus, which I have Nexus, the origin right here. You both came up with the idea together, correct?
No.
No?
I actually conceived the whole thing and wrote the first 12 pages, and then I gave it to Dude.
Nice. And now, I read recently I can always tell because I got another Nexus storyline, but it was after you and Baron, or you, Baron, and Rude had left Dark Horse, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was a Nexus story, and I could tell the difference from when you left it to the new writer, because he focused more on science fiction, where you focus as Horatio Hillpot more as a tragic character. And
wait a minute. What new writer? Are you referring to the Nexuses that Steve Rude has published during the past 2 years, which are 11 by 22 inches in size?
No. It was like a 4-part issue series that
and it was for Dark Horse, no doubt.
Yes, yeah. I don't think Steve Rude was the artist.
I originally wrote those scripts.
Oh, okay.
And then Steve rewrote them.
Oh, okay, I got you. So, and now you have a new Badger series and that's with Devil's Due First, correct?
Well, we put first.
Oh, okay.
First Devil's Due to me.
Oh, right, I got you. Yeah, because they merged, right? They were originally two different companies, and they came together. Yeah. Okay. And does it ignore the canon from the previous Badger stories?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Did you read last year's series?
Unfortunately, I did not, no.
Well, I updated him. I brought him up. I brought Norbert into the 21st century and made him an Iraq veteran. And the first issue is a new origin story, which really does not conflict with any previous origin stories, except that I rebooted him, and took 30 years off his age, so now he's about 30 again. But I can do that because he's my character. But basically, it's the same scenario with the same cast: Ham, Daisy, Mavis, Dr. Buick Riviera. Many old friends are back, and we're bringing back more friends. Yak and Yeti were featured in that series last year.
Is there any difference between working with Badger at the original First to now the new First Comics? Like, is the tone how does it vary, like as far as the company is concerned, or is it exactly the same?
Oh no, it's not the same at all. It's no longer a monthly issue.
Right.
It's only 5 issues a year.
Okay.
And whereas before I could write whatever I wanted and they would just do it, now my stories are heavily scrutinized by the publisher, Mr. Kenneth F. Levin, because he's interested in selling properties in Hollywood, and so he wants stories that will appeal to producers. That's fine with me. I'm interested in selling properties in Hollywood as well.
If Badger was to become a film, by the way, Andrew Clavin says hi. He says I work with him. He says that he knows you.
Andrew Clavin, the writer?
Yeah. Hey, I told him that you and I were speaking.
Give me a plug.
I told him that I was interviewing you, and goes, "Oh, I know him. Tell him I said hello." But anyway, I was speaking of Andrew Clavin, if Badger was to become like a feature film, like who would you like to see playing Badger or writing a script? Do you have a particular screenwriter in mind?
Well, of course, I'd like to write that script myself.
Right.
But as far as an actor, I don't know. You know, there are 100 young actors out there who could do it. Somebody who's conversant in the martial arts and can move well and can also act. There's nobody right now I'm featuring that could do the job. I'm thinking of Casey Affleck maybe if he put on a wig, but really there are 100 guys out there that could do it.
One of the things I noticed that's a kind of a common theme in your writing, with maybe the exception of Nexus, is the characters seem to always have like a very tragic backstory. Like with most superheroes are like this, but with you, it's like you take it to the next level. Like Horatio Hellpot was kind of forced to, actually he was compelled to kill his father. Of course, he didn't know his father was going to commit suicide. And then with Badger, he was abused, and so he has dissociative or multiple personality disorder. Where do you draw from to create such tragic heroes?
In the case of Nexus, I thought, what were the elements that would make a character compelling? And of course, if he killed somebody every time he showed up, well, that's compelling. Right. And of course, that insight is not unique to me. Every crime show on TV follows that pattern, and they often call themselves what they're showing, so as to attract readers, like the American Crime Story.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And beyond that, I didn't want to make it a cheap trick.
Right.
He'd have to have a hell of a justification for doing that, and so I delved into his past, and I always liked gloomy Russian literature, and I felt that Nexus was reflective of the dark Russian soul, and I keyed off of that. In the case of Badger, I had always been fascinated. Can you hear my dogs?
Yeah, a little bit.
I was fascinated by multiple personalities, and I read a book called The Minds of Billy Milligan by Daniel Keyes, who wrote Flowers for Algernon. It was a fascinating story. The most fascinating thing about it was how his personality, when he changed, was complete. It wasn't just acting. I was struck by one incident where this guy whose mind had fractured was dealing with some Russian gangsters, and he thought he was a Russian gangster, and he got tough with them, and they bought it. And I thought, well, wow, that's the basis for a fascinating character. And the more I looked into multiple personalities, the grimmer it became, because they all arise out of horrible childhood trauma, often sexual abuse. And add to that, I was from Madison, Wisconsin's Badger this, Badger that, Badger Dairy, Badger Liquor, Badger Posters, Badger Pub, and I said, well, the town is trying to tell me something, so I named the character the Badger.
That's like my grandparents' hometown, the Colmasnell Bulldogs. Everything is Bulldog theme. They've only won like 3 football championships their entire playing career, but they're still, everything's Bulldogs. Now I understand that like you said, you only 5 issues come out. So are they part of a for Badger? I mean, are they part of a volume, like kind of like what DC does, like with their annuals? They'll do like the DC Comics annual. It'll have several different characters, or does Badger, fortunate, which I hope, I'm, as you can tell, I'm not up on the latest first comics. None of the comic book stores around here sell them. It's driving me crazy. But
okay, I'm sending you the cover of last year's trade paperback.
Oh, awesome!
Everything is available from the first website. You can order directly from the first website. It's in a message to you on Facebook, so as soon as you friend me and you open your messages, you'll see it.
All right, and
the Badger stories are 5 issues. They're all a unified story.
Oh, nice.
It's all one long story, yet each issue is designed to be entertaining in and of itself.
All right, and for my viewers, I will put that website in the description where you can find it. Definitely. And now, moving on from comic books, you kind of took a respite from comic books for a while, and you went into novel writing. And I'll be honest, unfortunately, I haven't been able to read any of them because I'm a comic book collector, so mainly what I read is comic books. But where you went into horror, and I had a conversation with Jeremy Boring, who's a film director, and he told me that horror is often the most honest genre because every human feels fear, and I'm curious when it comes to horror for your writing, is that what you're trying to resonate is as far as fear goes?
Well, I don't know. I've always been drawn to horror stories because who doesn't like to be scared? You
Right.
grow up reading Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft, and you fall in love with that kind of thrill you get, and I always wanted to recreate it. I don't know how if it's any more honest than any other form of writing. Whatever you write, it's as honest as you make it. My first goal has always been to entertain. That's number one.
Right.
Number 2 is to be original. And number 3 is to show, don't tell. Now, I have 3 horror novels out. The first was Helmet Head, which was, was my first novel. I'm proud of it. But between that and the second one, Scorpio, I moved ahead about 12 light years. Scorpio is about a ghost who only appears under a blazing sun. And the last one is Banshees, which is about a satanic rock band that comes back from the dead, and that just got a starred review in Publishers Weekly.
Oh wow!
If you have tell Andrew, if you have a personal reading device, I'll be happy to send you the manuscript if you're interested.
Oh yeah, very much. What about I'm trying to remember the name of the. It was one about a motorcycle gang.
That's Helmet Head.
That is Helmet Head. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking you wrote a second one with a motorcycle gang. I must be getting it.
Well, you're thinking of Biker, which
right?
Is the first in a series that's coming out from Liberty Island Press.
Oh, okay.
Biker came out last fall. The next one will be out in June. It's called Sons of Privilege, and it's going to rip a few heads open.
Nice.
I'm posting all the covers to your message board here.
Nice.
So you'll see them.
And now you recently wrote a graphic novel, Architects. What is that one about?
Well, that's a horror story too, inspired by the life of Frank Lloyd Wright. I've always been fascinated by Wright, and his life was touched by horror, as anyone knows who's read his biographies. But I just took the personality, which I thought lent itself to a certain type of story, because Wright was a dictatorial little bastard, a great architect. But in my story, he's a practitioner of the black arts whose houses are designed in a way to bring him back after he's dead. But there's a lot more to it than that. In fact, when you get to the hook at the end, your head will explode. It's because it's based on something else that I read in the news. There's something that's mind-boggling. It has to do with the largest living thing on Earth. I don't want to give that away because it's such a shocker, but it's integral to the story.
And one final question: any other major projects planned out? You got any great? And you don't have to give too much away if you don't want to. But any big time project announcements as far as comic books or novels go?
Well, I'm hanging fire on a big comic book announcement, but it's premature. As far as the novels go, I've already completed 5 novels in the Biker series.
Nice.
And those will be coming out in the next couple of years, and I'm going to pick them up again. Each one is better than the last. Biker is very hard-boiled crime fiction. It's about a motorcycle hoodlum who goes to prison, finds God, comes out and tries to lead a more righteous life. And he hires out as a private investigator. You can become a private investigator in Wisconsin if you're pardoned by the governor, which is what happened. And he starts delivering summons, but he gets sucked into the world of cycle gangs, and he goes looking for a missing child, and it leads him on a horrific voyage. A lot of the action takes place at Sturgis. That's the first issue, Biker. The second issue, Sons of Privilege, has to do with the smiley face killings. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but dozens of college athletes found drowned after a night of drinking on their campuses, and in each case a smiley face was drawn on a wall nearby.
Oh, wow.
And that was the inspiration for that. The third one is called Not Fade Away, and it happens when this woman hires Josh to prove that a song given to her by a famous singer who died in a club fire, that the song actually belongs to her, because she hears it in an insurance jingle and she thinks that that's not right. And that leads to another journey into the dark where Josh finds out what really happened to the singer, which is not what everybody thinks. The fourth one is Sons of Bitches. And that's the one that's going to make everyone angry, because it's about a woman who innocently puts out a Muhammad comic and not realizing the consequences. Well, when the jihadists start coming out of the woodwork, she hires Josh to protect her.
Oh, wow. Not politically correct, huh?
Pardon?
I said not politically correct at all.
No, it's not politically correct, and
Good
that's
for
why
you.
the only publisher that would touch it is Liberty Island Press.
Mm-hmm. I've heard, I went to their website prior to talking with you, and I did see a lot of their authors are politically incorrect. So that's really cool that they give their authors freedom to do that.
Well, any writer can take the freedom he wants. The question is, will anybody publish it? And we're not trying to raise hackles. It's just a story from a different point of view.
It's really cool.
And it's not condemnatory of Muslims in general, and anybody who reads that will understand it.
Right, absolutely. And now, where can my viewers go to find your stuff?
Well, all my published books are on Amazon right now. We're starting to get bookstore distribution through Simon & Schuster.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it hasn't happened yet because the books haven't come out yet. But I have 4 or 5 novels that are available on Amazon. Just go to Amazon Books and put in my name. And the books are Banshees, Scorpio, Whack Job, Helmet Head, Banshee, Scorpio, Whack, and Biker. So
head over to Amazon, and you can also find Mike Baron at bloodyredbaron.net, correct?
That's right.
Oh, awesome. And of course, everyone, be sure to like and subscribe to StudioJake for more awesome interviews. Also, pick up my own paranormal thriller and supernatural novel, Cacophony. It's on Amazon as well. So go buy all of Mr. Barron's books and then purchase mine. And head over to my blog, www.jacobairy.blog. Thank you again, Mr. Barron.
You're welcome.